And we're back with Cricbuzz Live. Dinesh Karthik, Bhattacharjya in the house. Thankfully, more to Pakistan's relief, the rain has stopped. The umbrellas have gone back into the box and play will resume at about 5:15 p.m. It will be a 45 overs per side match. 9 overs the first power play, 27 overs the second power play, and 9 overs the third and final power play. A bowler can bowl a maximum of 9 overs. How relieved are Pakistan, sir?
They'll be more relieved after the rain doesn't come at 7 because the rain is scheduled to come at 7 again. But yeah, this is a start. Obviously, the game starting is a huge relief for them. And look, but the other thing is that, I don't think any of these teams just before a World Cup want to play in conditions which are even slightly dangerous. So I think one of the things the match referees would have had and the umpires would have had is make sure the ground is totally safe to play. We don't need to force a final or force a game if the situation is like that. And I think that is important today because 3 weeks before a World Cup, the safety of the players is something which is very important.
Now, Dominic Cock did the pitch report and said the same pitch that was used for Sri Lanka versus Bangladesh. I'd like to bowl first here. Bowl first, try and make inroads, try and restrict and chase it under lights. However, Pakistan have won the toss and have opted to bat first. What do you think the thought was there?
I'd kind of predicted that they would bat first. And it's understandable because you can see Pakistan have a batting lineup which is slightly probably vulnerable to spin in the middle overs. And it would make sense for them to bat first. And hence I had predicted that in the previous show when we're just sitting. And now it's not surprising at all. I understand Dominic Cock is talking from a generic point. If you look at the pitch and the way it's behaved, though Pakistan with the current bowling lineup, they have a couple of new fast bowlers in. They're playing a Mohammad Nawaz who was dropped the previous game. So they would prefer bowling where the conditions are more in favour for the bowlers. So very understandable. So in hindsight, in case they don't bat well, they'll be like, should we have batted second? But I think with the kind of team that they have lined up, it's a good toss to win for them to bat first especially.
DK the other day gave us a detailed analysis of what the right flank is. Just want to know, is a back spasm a contagious problem? Because there is another back spasm problem. And guess what? Babar Azam is playing this match. Imam ul Haq is out with a back spasm. one of those facepalm moments, right? Isn't it that comes from Pakistan? What's happening?
Now, but back spasm is one of those things that you cannot control, and the sad part of it is you can't do anything about it. It's not treatable. You just leave it. I mean, what do you do?
It could be a blessing in disguise, isn't it, for Babar Azam, who would have been told that you're not playing. Suddenly he's told you're playing. Sometimes it can work, right?
KL Rahul, great example, just been told 15 minutes before toss, comes in and gets 100 and he's, it's interesting that he claims that he's seen strange thing in his cricket career. Yet another example where Babar Azam gets an opportunity. I believe he's a firepower for Pakistan up front, especially in the World Cup. And it's good to see him back. These conditions will test him out for sure. Let's wait and watch how he goes about it.
Do you want to sip some more water? I've got another shocker for you.
I'd love to, but yeah, I'm listening to you. Tell me, please.
I've just been told Saud Shakil has fever and in comes Abdullah Shafiq.
Oh, second one.
Second one.
So now the interesting part becomes, where is Abdullah Shafiq going to bat? You got to understand, he opens in Test cricket. Are they going to send him in the middle? Mohammad Haris in the emerging trophy when he was the captain for Pakistan and he went on to win it as captain. He batted below. He batted at 6 and 7. So are they going to? I wouldn't be surprised if Abdullah Shafiq and Babar Azam open and Mohammad Haris slots in at number 5.
So it's essentially a case of whoever is not unwell or not injured plays.
Yeah, look, again I'm saying, if this was a World Cup match, a crucial World Cup match, they might think of it, this team might be looking at it different. But a lot of the things they'll be doing right now is also precautionary.
Yeah.
If a player is even slightly injured, I mean, Haris Rauf, they've said that if they're not just saying that there's this thing, they are watching him. They are not taking any chances now. Not this close to a World Cup, they're not taking any chances. And they're saying if we win it, we'll win it with these players. These players are all good enough to play for Pakistan. If they're good enough to be in a squad, they're good enough to play for Pakistan. Let's see what they can do. And I think that's a good way to look at it because what you don't want to risk is slightly injured players or anything so close to a World Cup.
At times it can work for a player, right? Suddenly he is told, as you mentioned, KL Rahul. But for a young player who's hardly played international cricket, it perhaps depends on how you are as a person and the person in you can get tested the real person sort of comes to the fore.
A lot of players tend to be very nervous the day before the game, the night before the game. They think of a lot of permutations, combinations, and they visualize all sorts of things that could happen on the day of the game the previous night. So for those kind of players, sometimes a burst from the blue like this, when you're least expecting it, could be good.
I have to tell you a story which practically, at least changed my life. It changed the story of the IPL. In the third season of the IPL in 2007, Kings 11 is playing in Calcutta. The man who's totally out of form is Mahela Jayawardene. He's just not getting runs. So he's not in the team finally. And another batsman, I think it's some other player who pulls up 7 minutes before. The toss is gone. Toss is already gone with a team without Mahela. And they come and they request Dadi, because Dadi was our captain, that, can you change it? And he says, of course, no problems. Mahela comes on. KKR scores 200. Okay. Mahela gets a century. Okay. Yuvraj gets runs. He scores the best century, comes totally back into form. KKR that year ended 7-7. So had they won that match, KKR would have qualified for the semi-finals. Who knows what would have happened with captaincy, with the auction, with everything. 7 minutes before an auction.
Who knows?
7 minutes before.
Who knows what Abdullah Shafiq will do for Pakistan? Well, last minute changes sometimes do the job. What about Sri Lanka? They've made a couple of changes as well. I've been checking the Cricbuzz app regularly. You should as well. 2 changes. Pramod Madhushan comes in for Rajita and Kusal Janat comes in for Dinesh Karthik. What does our Sri Lankan expert have to say?
What did he say? What did he tell you? Listen to the man.
Yeah, he knows it all.
Listen to the man.
Tell us more.
First of all, it feels great to know what you predicted has come through, but it's interesting that they've gone for Pramod Madhushan ahead of a Kasun Rajita, who's actually bowled pretty well. He's beaten the bat plenty of times, which tells me they're a bit desperate, Joyda. I mean, when I look at it, he's bowled well. He's not, in the first game that he played, he got 3 wickets, and now they've just not picked him. So I'm just looking at that and going, wow, okay, so they're trying, they're also trying, they also want to make sure. Pramod Madhushan is a ginger medium pacer who, not the tallest, again, somebody who's played for Dambulla. He helped them win the ODI comp for them in domestic cricket. Even in the LPL, he played for Dambulla Aura, a good team, somebody who's not express pace but bowls at 130, 135, has an outswinger which obviously doesn't swing plenty but hits good areas. So he's an interesting pick, did well against for Sri Lanka A against England. So we have to see how he goes. Kasun Rajita, tall, gets a lot more bounce, but they've gone for another medium pacer who's slightly different to what Pramod Madhushan is. So I'm surprised by that selection. Kusal Perera, we've all been waiting. He's a lot of talent. We've all seen him, how well he's played. He's a bit of an up and down guy. He's a bit of a maverick. He's done things. The one test match against South Africa when he single-handedly helped them win in South Africa will always be part of Sri Lankan folklore. One of the great knocks ever. So he's got the talent, he's got the potential. And Dinesh Karthik obviously losing out a spot we all feel bad for because he's been a gun player for them for some time. But understandably so, they want some firepower up front.
Darshan Shanaka, the captain of Sri Lanka at the toss, said we would have bowled first. There will be more assistance for spinners. Now, is their selection in line with that assessment? We can pull up the graphic once again for you to take a look. Let's show DK the Sri Lanka
come there with the team. They would have come there with the team. You can't do anything.
And also, they played the same 11 in many ways. They've just swapped a left-hand opener for another left-hand opener. They've swapped a fast bowler for another fast bowler. So they've not gone any change in their construction of what the bowling attack is. It's pretty much the same. So even against India, as I said, they bowled first. And if they had won the game, which wouldn't have been surprising with the kind of situation India were in, we wouldn't be sitting talking like this. But the one thing I can tell you today for sure is we'll see a lot more spin in the first 10, and they wouldn't wait that long before they bring in Velalage. He'll be in the attack much earlier.
There's one man, Babar Azam, who can play all kinds of bowling, and his last 6 innings against the Sri Lankans tells you that he's done really well. His ODI batting average in the last 5 or 6 years is a story in itself. It's the lowest this year, and yet it is 51.14. Have a look at that average since 2019. These are staggering numbers. Regardless of what the opposition is, where he is playing, these are big numbers, Joy.
Yeah, I mean, he's literally not got runs only in the last 2-3 matches in the Asia Cup. He got a century in his first match against Nepal. Okay. And I think he was ICC Player of the Month for August. I mean, he's had a spectacular record. and he's just on a roll. And again, you cannot, there's so many rain hit matches, you've just seen one or two decisions go this way. So he is still definitely their most valuable player, the most important player up front, and he's the talisman of the team. If he does well, if he's calm, if he's looking good, that Pakistan team will always look good.
Also announced as the ICC Player of the Month for August, the first player in history to win 3 such Player of the Month awards. Yes, we saw him bat like there was no challenge against the Nepalese, but there's some trend that's been noticed by our producers, and I'm sure the opposition has made note of it as well. The ball pitching outside off stump and coming in, can it be looked at as one of those things that happen, or is there a chink in Babar's armour?
Every batsman with a certain technique will have a certain weakness.
Yep.
With Babar Azam, low back lift, he doesn't go across too much at times. The ball coming in will always trouble him. And make no mistake, the ball that pitches and comes in troubles most of the batters in the world. Yep. The ball that pitches and goes away, on lucky days, you'll end up getting beaten. On unlucky days, you'll end up nicking it. But the ball that pitches and comes back in lucky or unlucky, is going to hit your stump or your pad. So there is no way to escape it. That is the toughest ball for any batter in the planet and who has played the game so far. So, and it's not Babar Azam the first player to go through that. So, for a start, irrespective of what a technique is, that's a tough ball to play, the Hardik Pandya delivery. Yeah. The previous match when Kasun Rajita got him out, the fast bowler from Bangladesh, the tall Taskin Ahmed got him out, it was the same delivery that kept a bit low. Yeah. That's about it. So, the one pitching in and comes in is a challenge for most batters, and Babar Azam is part of that list. But what makes him special is that if you do look at that graphic and you go, wow, so for somebody to average so consistently and stack up those kind of numbers over a period of 5 years tells you that he is already one of the best that Pakistan has ever produced, will go on to become one of the best in the world if he keeps batting at the same tempo, loves to bat for long hours. He's a bit like Steven Smith and a young Virat Kohli who batted plenty of balls. He's also like that. I remember in MCG when we were warming up for the India versus Zimbabwe game, they had the game after that. So he had just come in when the match was going on, and I remember him batting for at least half an hour, 40 minutes, and just nobody's there from the Pakistan team. They're not even, and he was just batting for long hours. You could see he is what you call a coach killer. He'll literally finish you off just throwing a lot of balls. He will definitely finish off. But that also tells you the amount of effort he's putting into his batting. And it wasn't a great start for him at the T20 World Cup. Didn't manage to get too many runs, but a terrific player and someone I personally enjoy watching. And his cover drive is as beautiful as it gets.
Excellence is also about preparing and working hard when no one's watching, when there's no media, there's no press, there are no broadcast cameras, and you are at it working on your craft.
No, absolutely. And sometimes, even if it's not your format, I mean, the person, he said coach killer, the person that all KKR coaches were most scared of was Chiteshwar Pujara. Because he's not playing too many matches, so he didn't even need to rest. And he just, everyone. So throwdowns was a huge thing. So they'd almost toss a coin to say who's going to do throwdowns too. Because Chetu will want throwdowns. And he's such a nice guy, you can't even say no to him. So no, exactly that. But I also feel, frankly, that Babar...
And that habit is still not dead. It's
not
still
dead.
That's long hours. You can
Has to be a lazy coach that invented the bowling machine, isn't it?
Sorry?
Has to be a lazy coach that invented the bowling machine.
I am very sure. And they've thought ahead of time. It's a good option. But these days, they don't use bowling machine, but the sidearm that they use a lot more.
Yeah, they use those sidearm throwers. And now they have specialist throwers as well.
Yeah.
So.
There was a time when we would have this Glenn McGrath versus Sachin Tendulkar battle, and we were all scared of that ball outside the off stump because the Aussies believed that they could get Sachin out, nicked off behind. We've had Anderson versus Kohli, and this one little weakness is talked about so much in the media. And we were told in the earlier days that, these other teams have foreign coaches and they look at video analysis and things like that. Is it done as much or is it done more these days? Do analysts sit and look at last 20 dismissals and say, here's where we're going to bowl them? Or has that stopped now?
It has gone to a different level.
Yeah, it's
the influx of data and how they assess players has taken off to a different level. It's no more about, this guy's weakness, his weak point is, just outside off some nicking off. You've got to understand with the white ball, to produce a ball like that is very, very hard. Unless you have a nice, new, shiny ball and then the ball is doing a lot of the pitch. But what you can do is, if you see long hours of how each batter is batted, you will find a certain pattern in which they score.
Yeah.
So even with a 10 overall ball, 12 overall ball, what line do you bowl, what length do you bowl, what is the odd bouncer or the odd yorker that you have to try to get his wicket. It's taken off, analytics in cricket is taken off to a different level.
Is there too much of it happening? Do most players respond? Are they receptive enough to these things?
No. See, I'll tell you one thing. The way analysis works for a good team, and I'll tell you how it works for a good team. For a good team, the analyst analyzes everything. Then the coach and the analyst, some players want a lot of data. I know like somebody like an Ashwin and all will watch a lot of data. Balaji used to love watching data. He used to love taking lots of data. Others want less to be told to them. That this, you focus on only this much. So it really depends on you how much you want to communicate with your player. And all players do not take data the same way. However, all players are prepared for, all good teams prepare for every player very, very thoroughly. He'll tell you that. They'll tell you exactly where he scored, where he didn't score, where he got out. So if a bowler wants data, he can get as much of it as he wants to. And a good analyst will also give him a plan saying, this is what worked against him here. This might not work here because the boundaries are disproportionate in this ground. So if you're bowling at this end, that might not work. So this much data is good. And let me tell you one thing. What data we are seeing in cricket now, baseball is still 10-12 years ahead of us in terms of data.
I know that a lot of cricket analysts watch Cricbuzz for some pure insights. I think we'll have to let them go because the match has started. They'll need to watch some real-time action so that they can make data points on the Pakistani batters. They won the toss and they've chosen to bat first. Remember, winner goes through. The winner of this match will play India in the finals. If there is rain, if there's no action, if there's no result, Sri Lanka go through. Enjoy the first innings. We'll see you at the 15-over mark on Cricbuzz Combox. But before we go, quick prediction. Pakistan batting first.
45 overs. No, it is not a pitch to score very high. I'm going 235. It's going to be a tight game.
225.
I'm going to say 2-0-1 to Pakistan. Close game coming up. Enjoy the game. We'll see you on Cricbuzz Combox after 15 overs. Bye for now.